Hello BMW 1200 GS owning YouTubers, and welcome to the second video on removing and working on the front timing chain cover on this engine. So I removed the cover on this because it was in a horrible scabby mess. So okay, basically a cosmetic reason. I could have carried on riding it as it was, but look at the state of it. It's not just that the paint has come off and I could just paint over it, it has pitted and corroded really badly. Okay, and I know it's not structural, but it was just really annoying me, so I decided I would replace it rather than get this off and shot blasted and powder coated, which I might well go on to do and then maybe sell it on. I decided to go for a replacement. Got this off YouTube, came from the States. It's an exact match. It cost about £130 including freight, so and it's turned out to be perfect. The paintwork there is a bit dirty, but it's all in good order. So that's about to go on, but talking you through the removal process, several things to bear in mind. There's the wiring bit to remove from the crankshaft sensor. That has to come off. There are 16 of these bolts, Torx 30 bolts to remove. And BMW, when I asked if they could maybe do the job, there was a sharp intake of breath, and apparently these bolts are inclined to seize, and then the bolts snap and they have to drill them out, and it looks like it can be, with their labour charges, a hugely expensive undertaking. So I decided I would do the job myself. In fact, all those bolts came out fine. My suggestion is to you that you make that a routine part of your servicing. When you're working on the bike, remove every bolt in turn, one at a time, and put some copper slip on, put it back in. Don't replace the bolts with stainless steel ones, because stainless steel reacts with aluminium and will cause even more of a problem. So I think that's a useful routine service thing to do. So you need to remove those bolts. There are two smaller bolts up here which hold this cover on, like that. That's the keeps the pulley belt under cover. Now it's worth mentioning those, because when you come to remove this cover, it'll be well stuck on with the sealant. But if you get two, I think these are M6 bolts, they will screw through, and then they'll then push against the crankcase. Certainly on this side, the left side, it's a straight push against the crankcase. On the right hand side there's a gap, and I put in a piece of wood so the bolt could push against that, and then it lifted the whole assembly away from the crankcase. The Haynes manual will have you bashing the thing with a rubber mallet and everything, which well, I've got one of these. I did use this a bit and it did help free it off, but I think unless you can actually just lever it away slightly with those with the two bolts like that, that's the way to go. For goodness sake, don't use a screwdriver and prise the thing off, you'll damage the mating surfaces. The bolts which did seize on mine are the ones holding the front plastic cover on, and these two here which go in there completely seized off. I've tried removing them myself, but to no joy. I'll take it to an engineering shop and get them to drill them out properly, or maybe spark a road, get them out. There's the seal that will need replacing while you're about it. They're about £16, so you know, for me, with the bike being 2008, 15 years old, the seal's gone a bit dry and brittle, so there's going to be no point transferring that to this one. The other thing you'll need to do, when I think about it, is lock the crankshaft in order to get the pulley belt off. And the locking tool is that. That's quite cheap. That's worth buying. You'll use that for doing other jobs. So I strongly recommend that you get that locking tool. You will need a special tool later on for reinstalling the new oil seal, the front crankshaft oil seal, but I'll come to that in my in one of my next videos. And you will also need to do some work to the pulley itself to help you get the pulley belt back on. I'll cover that in a separate video. Hope you found this one useful, and happy spannering.